Hi, Peter Jones, Chartered Surveyor, author and property investor. And in an earlier post I posted that getting a property at a discounted price doesn't make a bad deal a good deal. Although getting a property at a discounted price could make a good deal into a great deal. And somebody posed the question, well, how do we know and what should we be looking out for? And I think the key thing is that when we're thinking about buying a property at a discount, we need to be thinking about what we could call our exit. So for example, if I'm going to be buying the property to hold and to let it out, then I need to be absolutely sure that there is a rental market for that property. Now I know that that sounds very obvious, but you'll be surprised how many investors forget that in the excitement of trying to get the discount. And an example which I often think about and which I sometimes talk about when I'm doing the trainings is an example I remember from around about sort of 2004, 2005, when on the banks of the Thames around Barnes, a developer put up a load of townhouses, sort of 3, 4, 5 bedroom luxury townhouses, and they were sold as off-plans and new builds to buy-to-let investors at an apparent discount. Now the thing was, it doesn't really matter what the discount was, because what happened is that those properties just stayed empty. Why? Because there wasn't sufficient rental demand to fill those properties. There just were not enough tenants looking for luxury properties to rent on the Thames in Barnes, and so many of those properties stayed empty for a few years. And I imagine, probably because the credit crunch then came, quite a few of the people who bought those properties got their fingers badly burnt. Now the thing is, they bought them at a discount, but the discount did not ensure that there was rental demand. So that'd be the first thing. But it all depends, of course, on the strategy that you're adopting. So if you're not buying to hold, and say you're buying to flip the property on, then the key thing has got to be, is there going to be demand from a buyer? And this is why, if you're going to do flips to owner-occupiers, for example, you've got to look in decent areas, because if the property's in a decent area, you're going to have a much better chance of selling it on. Now, obviously, it's possible to buy a property in a lower value area, which perhaps we can buy BMV and then sell on to an investor. The key thing is, though, that if you're going to try and sell it on to another investor, they're also in turn probably going to be wanting to look for a discount. So to sell it on to another investor at a profit, you're probably going to have to get it at a substantial discount. So that's why buying in a low value area can make it a little bit problematic. So in summary, what are we saying? Well, we're saying that if your exit is to rent the property out, there's got to be sufficient rental demand. It doesn't matter how great a discount you get from the property, if you can't let it out, then you're going to end up paying the mortgage out of your money. Can you afford to do that? If, on the other hand, you're going to be flipping properties, if you're flipping onto other investors, you've got to have a very significant discount so that you can then pass it on to them at a smaller discount. Or if you're selling to owner-occupiers, you need to make sure that the property is of a quality and a standard and in a location where an owner-occupier will want to buy it. So there we are. I hope that helps. My thoughts on that. Here's to successful property investing.